James didn't reply. He just showed me the phone and said, "He's watching. Good." That was when I realized something. Marcus didn't ghost me out of fear. He ghosted me because he assumed I'd disappear quietly. He thought I'd fold up and vanish like a crumpled invitation, but I didn't. I planted myself in the middle of his world, with his brother no less, and smiled for the camera. And Marcus didn't know what to do with that. The first time I saw him again in person was at his mother's birthday. James invited me as his +1. We didn't warn anyone, just walked in together, hand in hand. I wore the earrings Marcus gave me. James wore Marcus's old cologne. Poetic cruelly, Marcus was already there, sitting by the drinks table with that girl, the one who wore my coat. When he saw me, his face didn't register shock. It was something worse. Insecurity. He stood up, left the girl sitting alone, and came straight over. "What the hell is this?" he hissed. "A party," I smiled. "Nice to see you, Marcus." "This is sick," he snapped. "You're parading around with my brother, ex-fiance," I corrected. "And James isn't yours. You don't get to keep people like trophies." He looked at James, expecting backup, but James just shrugged. "You left her, remember?" We didn't stay long, just enough to be seen, to laugh, to exist. We left holding hands again, except this time we weren't pretending. A month later, James proposed. No fanfare, no audience, just the two of us in the kitchen, barefoot and hungover. "I don't have a ring yet," he said, "but I'll get one. I don't want to be a rebound. I want to be the end game." I stared at him for a long time. I thought about Marcus, about how I'd spent a year planning a wedding to someone who saw me as a placeholder. James wasn't perfect, but he saw me, really saw me. "Yes," I said. We didn't tell anyone for weeks, not even Marcus. I wanted him to hear it from someone else, to feel the secondhand slap of it, to wonder how serious we were, how long it had been going on. I didn't care about the wedding. I cared about the fallout. James's parents were awkward at first, but civil. His father said, "At least we know your family." His mother said nothing at all. Marcus, he sent one message, just one. "What are you doing?" I didn't reply. I just forwarded it to James. He sent back the thumbs up emoji, and I laughed so hard I cried. But the best part, the moment I'd waited for, came 6 weeks before the wedding. James and I were out at a bar. His friends were there. So were some people Marcus used to know. I went to the bathroom. When I came out, Marcus was standing by the bar, alone. He looked tired, older, unshaven, bitter. "Why him?" he asked. "Why not?" I replied. "You know this is insane, right? You're marrying my brother." "You left me in a white dress in front of 100 people, I said. "Forgive me if I found comfort in the only person who didn't lie." He scoffed. "You're just trying to get back at me." I smiled. "And it's working." Then I leaned in and whispered something I'll never forget saying. "I'm going to wear a black dress, just for you." And I walked away. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I found it's best served slow, deliberate, precise, layered like silk over a blade. The wedding wasn't about love, not entirely. It was about control, taking back what had been stolen, not just from me, but from James too. Marcus didn't just leave me. He fractured his entire family when he did it. And now I would put the pieces back together, just not in the way he expected. James and I decided on a small ceremony. Not because we wanted intimacy, but because I wanted to control the guest list. No +1s, no last-minute invites, and one seat reserved, left conspicuously empty. We told Marcus he wasn't invited, but I knew he'd come anyway. And I planned around that. I ordered the black dress quietly. No consultations, no fittings, just one photo texted to James with a message. "Too much?" He replied instantly. "Perfect." It was sleek, backless, just shy of scandal. Not mourning, not celebration. Something in between, like the dress version of a smirk. The invitations went out in white envelopes, but Marcus didn't receive one. Instead, he got a note. Handwritten. You never gave me closure. I thought you might want to see how it ends. No name, no date, no location, just enough to make him look. And that's all I needed. In the final weeks, James and I rehearsed nothing. We didn't practice vows or first dances. We practiced glances, subtle touches, the kind of chemistry that looked organic, but was sharp enough to draw blood. I wanted every second of that day to feel real, because for Marcus, it would be. On the morning of the wedding, I received a gift. No card, just a small white box on my doorstep. Inside, a silver bracelet. The one Marcus gave me 3 Christmases ago, the one he claimed he lost during the move. Underneath a note, "You looked better in white." I stared at it for a long time. Then I snapped it in half and dropped it in the bin. The venue was beautiful, too beautiful for the occasion. James had booked a historic manor with ivy-covered arches and creaking wooden floors. It looked haunted, almost. Fitting, guests arrived dressed in soft blues, creams, and grays. I arrived late, in black. There was a pause when I walked in. Not gasps, just stillness. Even the music hesitated. And at the far end of the room, just inside the shadows, stood Marcus. Not on the guest list, not welcome, but there, just the same. I walked past him without looking, but I felt his eyes burning through the fabric of my dress. The ceremony was short. No fluff, no hymns, no poems, just truth. James took my hands and said, "You were never a second choice. You were the first person who saw me as more than Marcus's brother. I don't care who you used to be. I love who you are now, and I will never disappear on you." I didn't cry, but I wanted to. When it was my turn, I didn't read from paper. I looked directly at James, and indirectly at the shadow in the back row, and said, "I was left once. On the day I was supposed to feel most loved, I was made to believe I was forgettable. But you reminded me I'm unforgettable." A pause. And now I get to say I do to someone who actually shows up. Applause followed, light, cautious. Not everyone knew the full story, but enough of them did. Marcus disappeared before the reception started, but he left something behind, an envelope on our table. Inside, a photo of the two of us on the night he proposed. On the back, he'd written, "I meant it that night. You just weren't who I thought you were." I flipped it over, tore it in half, and handed one piece to James. "Want to burn it together later?" He smiled. "Let's make it a tradition." That night, we didn't stay in the honeymoon suite. We drove 2 hours to a cabin James had secretly rented. No Wi-Fi, no service, just silence and woods. On the way, he turned to me at a stoplight. "Do you feel better?" I thought about it. "Not better," I said, "but clearer." He nodded. "Good, because this isn't about him anymore. You know that, right?" I looked at him, really looked. And for the first time since that empty church aisle, I didn't see Marcus. I saw James, the one who stayed, the one who saw me, the one who helped me put the knife down and pick up the pen. Because this wasn't a tragedy anymore. It was a rewrite. The letter sat in my bedside drawer for 2 days before I read it again. The first time, I saw it as petty. The second time, it felt calculated. You chose the weak one. That wasn't bitterness, it was bait. And it was working. James didn't care, or at least he pretended not to. "He's jealous," he said. "It's pathetic." He tossed the envelope in the bin and poured us more wine. We didn't talk about it after that. But I started noticing things, small things. James stopped getting up early, stopped shaving, stopped asking me how my day was. At first I thought he was tired, burned out from the wedding, the travel, the constant performance we'd both maintained to keep the illusion perfect. But then I found the search history on his iPad. Marriage annulment UK. Can you undo a wedding? Legal separation time frame. I didn't ask him about it right away. I just watched, observed, and remembered something he once told me in that first conversation after Marcus left me at the altar. He's always gotten away with it, always. What if that wasn't just about Marcus? What if James wasn't the weaker brother, but the smarter one? It started making sense in reverse. He never pushed me to date. He waited. He didn't suggest we post together. I did. He didn't invite me into his life. He slowly crept into mine. He knew exactly how to position himself as the opposite of Marcus. Quiet, gentle, safe. But safe is just another word for strategic, isn't it? A week later, I followed him, said I was going to see a friend, waited till I saw him leave the flat, took a cab and stayed 5 cars behind. He wasn't going to work. He wasn't going to see a friend. He went to a bar, a quiet one, midweek, nearly empty. And he sat down across from Marcus. They didn't argue. They didn't fight. They talked calmly, like this was routine. I watched from the alleyway across the street, heart pounding, fingers clutching my phone like it could protect me. James leaned forward at one point and smiled. That same polite, half-broken smile he always gave me when I said something I thought was clever. I watched Marcus hand him something, a piece of paper, fold it. James took it, pocketed it, and they shook hands. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't confront him. Instead, I went to the storage box under our bed and pulled out my wedding journal, the one I started when Marcus proposed. In the back was a list I'd written the night he left me at the altar. Reasons why this hurts. There were 10 bullet points. I'd written them in a haze, mascara bleeding into the paper. Now I started a new list. Reasons why this was never about me.